Chapter 3. One Step. The theory of relativity says that an object in motion tends to stay in motion. There's also a famous saying that goes something like, "You can't turn a parked ship," and another that says, "A journey of 1,000 miles begins with just one step." Now, these phrases are just clever ways to say that you have to do something, even if you don't specifically know what you want to do or who you want to become, because you won't find out until you get a little further down the road. There was a time when I couldn't even do one push-up. Okay, there have been many times that I couldn't. However, once I decided to try and do one push-up, I was on my way. The next day I tried again, and the next day, and then again another day. Then suddenly I could do one solitary push-up. But before long, I could do two. And as long as I kept working at it, I kept being able to do more and more. By contrast, I have too often spent a lot of time trying to figure out the perfect plan of action. Though I did a lot of research, it always led me into the paralysis of analysis, where I would become stuck trying to figure out exactly what to do instead of just getting started and letting it grow. I have discovered that there is a lot of controversy amongst health professionals as to what the perfect diet actually is, and their strong disagreements only make choosing a plan even more confusing. So whenever I did start a program, I always found that it was too hard to jump from the F- diet that I was used to consuming to the A+ diet that was required. I either didn't like the food, the timing, or the program. Yet there I was, just trying to be hardcore until my willpower eventually ran out once again. However, each and every time that I have been successful in improving my health and fitness, it has always began by starting something small and then following my interests as they evolve. So instead of trying to jump from an F- to an A+, I just went from an F- to a D, then to a C, and then to a B, and then to an A. Similarly, I have always tried to figure out my end goals and then work backwards to get there as quickly as superhumanly possible. However, I found out that I just needed to start doing something better than I was. Better is better, which leads to better, which eventually leads to best if you keep going. You might be surprised that I never set out to complete a triathlon. That would have been crazy talk when I was at my heaviest. Me, a triathlete? Not in a million years. First of all, I wouldn't have been interested. And even if I was, it would have seemed so insurmountable of a task that I would have given up quickly or would have never even started because I didn't think it was even possible. However, I did my first race because it just seemed like the next logical step after a long series of previous logical steps. How I got into triathlon was that in order to rehab my knee from a photography injury, yep, that's right, I found that cycling was the only exercise that I could do that didn't make my knee click every time I bent it. I set up a little stationary bike at home, but soon grew very bored of it. So I decided to borrow my brother's old road bike for a change of scenery. My first ride was embarrassingly exhausting, but I kind of liked it, and I kept at it. Then, after a few months of riding, it led to an extreme decision to ride my bike to work, 11 miles each way, which then led to someone seeing my bike at work and randomly asking me if I was going to register for the local triathlon. That question then led me to become interested in the sport and to sign up for a race. And oh yeah, by now my knee didn't hurt anymore, and I had lost 45 pounds. But, who remembers that? Let me tell you, I learned a lot about health, fitness, nutrition, riding in the wind, open water swimming and goose poop, and much more on that journey from fat to fit. But it all started with, you guessed it, just one step.